Heading overseas now, Iran's foreign minister says talks with American negotiators about the future of Tehran's nuclear program were, quote, a good start. What does that mean? Well, we're going to try to find out. Meanwhile, here's some pictures. Special envoy Steve Witkoff and advisor, informal, Jared Kushner, led the U.S. delegation, and this comes against the backdrop of, well, let's put it mildly, broader tensions between the United States and Iran. President Trump has repeatedly threatened military action over Iran's crackdown on protesters that has left thousands, maybe tens of thousands dead within that country. Sam Vinograd is here with me now. Sam, lots to get to. In addition to the members Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, also there was the head of Central Command in these talks in Oman. Is that meaningful? Is that interesting to you?
Well, it's interesting because it calls into question what actually were they negotiating about? You know, they said it's a good start, and it brings to mind that Dave Matthews song, Where Are You Going? Because the Iranians, the regime, is refusing to negotiate on anything but the nuclear program.
Right. And the United States, under the Trump administration, brings a much broader portfolio.
They sure do. And they're, particularly with the presence of the CENTCOM commander, they want to talk about the ballistic missile program. Rightfully, it's huge. Iran's support for proxies, ostensibly the crackdown and the massacre of protesters. So the United States is entering these negotiations with a much broader agenda than the Iranian regime. So when we say it's a good start, the question is, where are we going?
Where are we going?
Trying to go?
And how should we characterize or think about some of the utterances in public that are cautious from our regional allies and what we are told and what I've been reading, and I'm sure you know much better than I do, much more urgent private diplomatic channels being said, we do not need a U.S. military strike on Iran because we're afraid it could spin out of control.
Well, having been involved in the early days of the Iran negotiations, whatever is being said publicly, Major, honestly, I don't pay a lot of attention to. Okay. We have these overt, acknowledged talks that are happening. Behind the scenes, there are probably some covert channels that are underway talking about a whole range of things and secret communications that we're just not privy to and probably shouldn't be yet based on the stage of just where they are. So we should expect a war of words to continue. Certainly regional allies other than Israel historically have not been supportive of a U.S. strike against Iran. But I wouldn't count out a U.S. military strike despite the fact that these negotiations are ongoing. Trump still does have a sizable military presence off the coast of Iran in the CENTCOM area of responsibility. And U.S. administrations can walk and chew gum. They can engage in diplomacy while assessing whether the other party is credible and actually committed while keeping military options on the table.
And to your point, Sam, we have been moving more military into the region, not pulling it back. So, yes, I understand it's peace through strength, negotiate with leverage and demonstrations of potential negative consequences if negotiations don't proceed as well. But we're positioning ourselves for something, it feels like.
We are. It's interesting. Every negotiation is different, but certainly with Iran, we are trying to send a message that we won't be engaged in endless negotiations. And I think the military armada that is in the region is intended to signal that. At the same time, you look at a negotiation like Russia and Ukraine, and that's a very different approach than the president is taking. But certainly the military assets in the region are intended for force protection, but also to signal that time is not endless in this negotiation.
Time is not endless because at some point you have to make a decision about repositioning or moving them somewhere else. And that's a timeline on of its own. I'll get the grammar right. Sam Vinograd, I appreciate it.